Jumpluff fires off the acrobatics, forcing the opponent's first protect shield, and Morpeko hits the field of play. Whilst the sucker punch is, on paper, supposed to be resisted, Morpeko does not tank fast move pressure whatsoever. The opponent fire off the Swift, tried to make the catch, back onto Charger Bug. XehrFelrose overfarms, fires off the Aura Wheel. The question now becomes, can the opponent sucker punch farm us down before the double Aura Wheel's reached? Back out comes Xehr. We fire off the next Aura Wheel, stripping the final Protect Shield. Morpeko on fractional HP, reaches the final Aura Wheel, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Welcome back to the channel. We are in the dying few days of Season 22's Go Battle League. Some trainers, like myself, are in the Season 23 waiting room. However, some trainers are still looking to reach their goals and looking for a strong climbing team. And look no further, because I have an incredible team from my good friend and fellow content creator, XehrFelrose. Despite Xehr being a very, very talented battler, able to hit legend rank every single season, he actually really struggled this season. I was watching him stream, he was stuck in like the 2900s for what seemed like an eternity, like 6 weeks. As his frustrations continued to grow, he asked chat what he should run, and people were suggesting RPS nonsense Pokemon like Gastrodon and Carbink. He attempted to use these and attempted to force alignment, however he didn't get across the line. It then dawned upon him, he's a talented battler, he does not need to RPS his way to legend. What he needs to do is put 3 very powerful, flexible Pokemon on the same team, and as if by magic, he was able to hit legend rank. So before we get into the battles, let's talk about the team and his moveset choices. If you look on the left hand side, you will notice that Morpeko is running Seed Bomb, and this is for 2 reasons. Firstly, it gives you a get out of jail free card against them very annoying mud slappers, stuff like Marowak and Gastrodon respectively. It also removes the temptation to bait, as I think when he first ran this team, he was using Psychic Fangs, and whenever he threw one, he wished he didn't. This team will also function as an ABB team. This team's actually quite similar to No Bonfire Head's Chestnut Drapion Typhlosion line. Drapion will be operating on the safe switch for 2 reasons. Firstly, unless you've been under a rock, this thing is without a doubt the most busted safe switch in the meta, able to fight back against even some of its hardest counters. It's also on the team to draw out any potential ground types the opponent might have, so Morpeko doesn't have to see it. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we found ourselves a problematic Pokemon. However, if we safe switch into Drapion, it can get ourselves some kind of advantage in the mid-game matchup. Both Morpeko and Jumpluff can handle Galarian Wheezing. The opponent fire off the sludge, force him chip and dip action. The opponent continued to stay in. Xehr are going to take the initiative and look to get off some much needed chip damage. Aqua Tail rocks the opponent below half health. The opponent then makes a catch, catching onto Primeape. But this Aqua Tail does over half their health. Despite seeing a tricky lead, Xehr finds himself in a very commanding position now. The opponent's going to be forced to dump a Rage Fist or tank another Aqua Tail. This just sets up Jumpluff the ability to farm down Primeape. And we now leave with residual energy good to go, and the opponent's even in Aerial Ace range. Xehr are going to shield up the sludge, he's going to overfarm, fire off the Aerial Ace, looking to move Wheezing from the field of play or force a Protect Shield. The opponent shield the first Aerial Ace, Jumpluff, able to outpace to the second Aerial Ace. Is the opponent going to go all in on Wheezing? Yes, they are. I think at this point, we've always got to save a shield for Morpeko. Xehr agrees, instantly no shielding. Sludge rocks us into the red. The opponent then pivots out into Xehr. Xehr going to be greeted with the Aerial Ace, quick switch into Morpeko, and Morpeko looks to close the show. Morpeko has a monstrous attack in the Great League. It's around 143 depending on your IV spread. All Xehr has got to do to win this battle is farm up to the double Aura Wheel, and this game is signed, sealed and delivered. We're going to shield up the Swift. Xehr now receiving the energy for that double Aura Wheel. One will remove Xehr from the field of play, and when Galarian Wheezing does return, it's very quickly going to meet the same fate, with XehrFelrose off to a very quick 1-0 start. GG's, and thanks for playing. You can already tell from battle number 1, if you're a fan of energy management, this team can certainly get you some win cons, even in unfavourable matchups. Heading into battle number 2, we see the ever-annoying Marshmallow Wigglytuff in the lead position. Xehr, much like myself, gonna YOLO the acrobatics right off the bat. Guarantee a Protect Shield or big damage. Once we've obtained that shield advantage, Drapion hits the field of play. The opponent gonna chip and dip, firing off the Icy Wind, and then send out Sableye. Unfortunately, as we're debuffed, unless we get the Crunch debuff the first time, 2 crunches are actually survivable, which is kind of sad. Xehr, you need to do some more praying to them RNG gods, buddy, as unfortunately no defense drop occurs. It does occur the second time, but at this point it's simply too little too late. Arguably, getting the defense drop the second time is actually worse for us. It gives Jumpluff less farm, but undeterred, we shield up the Dazzling Gleam, send out Jumpluff, back out comes the Marshmallow. Once again, we are full sending the nuke. Acrobatics, once again, forces the Protect Shield. I think this is kind of an unfortunate spot. Despite Jumpluff being low, we're going to be forced to shield this off, as we're not going to fancy the charm damage on our Glassy Morpeko. One Fairy Wind and the next Acrobatics. Hopefully with the Charmer out the way, Morpeko's good against what's in the back. No, it's another Charmer. Oh my gosh, if we got one turn bring in there, that would have actually been a loss, as we would have needed DRE to get this move off, but thankfully game functions as intended. Morpeko is a Grand Ball counter confirmed. You heard it here first, and we take that game. Honestly, what a nonsense team comp. Heading into the next battle. We see the Snail in the lead position. Xehr says no thank you. Say switches into Drapion. You can see there he goes straight for the Aqua Tail, which is good timing. Switch takes a turn. If you add 4 further Poison Stings, that is 9 turns versus 10. Xehr is going to invest a protection on Drapion, recognising this opponent, much like our last, doesn't have a great Drapion answer. After debuffing us, they send out Lapras. Despite us resisting the sideways, Lapras, with this huge health advantage, and us being debuffed, this just simply is not a matchup we can flip. The opponent fire off the Sparkling Aria, rocking us low. Drapion going to fire off the Departing Crunch, but Crunch is survivable. Jumpluff re-enters the arena, and if I was Xehr, I'd go for the Aerial Ace instantly, not risking potentially getting Ice Beam to the face. Xehr agrees, fires off the Aerial Ace, removing Lapras from the field of play. We pivot into Morpeko. The opponent is able to outpace the ever-annoying Rock Tomb, which will be debuffing our attack. The opponent continued to stay in 2 Thunder Shocks and the Aura Wheel for optimal fast move time. It's using a 2-turn move into a 5-turn move. Ideally, you want to throw 2 or 7. The opponent rebanks some energy and then send out Big Man Blastoise. It's super unfortunate that we're in Hangry mode and they're not a Shadow Blastoise, as one Aura Wheel will not cut it. Xehr fires off 1 further Thunder Shock and the next Aura Wheel. We are so heavily boosted. These Thunder Shocks will hurt the Snail when it returns. Back out comes the Snail. We transfer the Incinerate onto Jumpluff. I love that play. So we're going to get off 2 further Thunder Shocks before they knock us out. No, we can't Fairy Wind farm down Xehr. Forced to throw the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, but they leave with the charge move. A very, very valiant effort, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we lead Jumpluff into Manectric, the Shadow version as well. What a spicy pick from the opponent. We say switch into Drapion, and out comes Marowak. This is as the team's intended to work. We're looking to bait out the ground types, and Morpeko doesn't have to see it. And Drapion is just a monster because it's able to fight back even against these annoying Mud Slappers, and the opponent's going to be forced to invest a Protect Shield, which they do. As someone who's used Shadow Manectric, let me tell you, that thing cannot tank a hit for shit. So if we're able to land an Acrobatics, it'll probably one-shot. Xehr tanked the first Rock Slide. You can see by our health, we can tank the second. However, I do like this shield, as if we tank the second, the opponent can potentially snipe us. Xehr shields up the next Rock Slide, over farms, fires off the Aerial Ace. Come on, trainer, send out that Manectric. We just want to have a little chat. You wall us, I promise. The opponent thinking about it. They're actually reluctant to send back out Manectric and send out Ferrothorn. And this more than works for us. Acrobatics hits for neutral, but instantly rocks the opponent below half health. Xehr then just settles for the Aerial Ace, recognising that any chip damage is going to be welcome. Aerial Ace goes unshielded. The opponent is going to have to fire off a Thunder or Flash Cannon to pick up the knockout. Let's see what their moveset is. They full send the Flash Cannon, depleting their energy, and we see Manectric into our Morpeko. Morpeko wastes no time, goes straight for the Aura Wheel. Aura Wheel will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Psychic Fangs is double resisted. Wild Charge would do more. Xehr going to respect the potential Wild Charge. The opponent fire off the Psychic Fangs, but we're able to outpace to the Aura Wheel. Aura Wheel easily going to pick up the one-shot. Ferrothorn is energy dry. We're just going to be able to Thunder Shock farm down and take that game. The moral of the story for our last opponent was no Psychic Fangs bait was ever going to save their fate. Heading into the next battle, as he Jumpluff into Charger Bug. So in this battle, everything hits for neutral, but Jumpluff isn't ranked super high on PvPoke for no reason. This is definitely a matchup where you'd much rather be the Cotton Ball than that little 9-volt battery. Shout out to one of my OGs on Discord, Ledson, who actually told me that it's designed on a 9-volt battery. And now he's told me that, I just can't unsee it. Despite us being a favourable matchup, you can see just how high XehrFelrose's gameplay IQ is. He catches onto Drapion, and once again, we managed to bait out something that Morpeko doesn't want to see. What a play. We're now going to send out Jumpluff. Jumpluff correctly shields up the Ice Punch, sets up a massive farm down, leaving with residual energy good to go. Out comes Xehr. We're going to YOLO the Acrobatics. Acrobatics forces the first protection off the opponent, and it is Morpeko time. Switch timers are so heavily misaligned, so we've got plenty of variables here we need to be mindful of. The opponent firstly attempting to make a catch, and secondly us just die into quick moves. The opponent does go for that catch attempt, Xehr not falling for any of that nonsense. Aura Wheel removes Charger Bug from the field of play, and the question now becomes, can the opponent resist it? A Sucker Punch farm us down before the double Aura Wheel's reached. Xehr fires off the next Aura Wheel, Morpeko rapidly running out of HP, but able to hang on, reaching the next Aura Wheel, and XehrFelrose will be emerging victorious. Another very, very well played game. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Jumpluff into Tinkaton. We're actually fully walled in this matchup, but despite that, Jumpluff can actually win this in certain shielding scenarios because Jumpluff is just a busted Pokemon. I think Tinkaton is very, very underwhelming overall. Tinkaton's actually somewhat of a core breaker. Jumpluff's arguably our best response, as Morpeko isn't going to fancy a Play Rough or even a Baldo, and Drapion doesn't fancy either of them charge moves and is forced to go for non-stop Aqua Tails against a very, very bulky Pokemon. Jumpluff's already forced a shield off the opponent. Xehr happy to match Protect Shields, wanting to get off more damage. You can see there he paused a turn, ensuring no catch attempt was made, guaranteeing this Acrobatics lands on its intended target. So what I mean by pausing a turn, for those you newer to the game, is you stop tapping, wait for the animation to start, and throw in the middle of it, just as Xehr did there. Despite Jumpluff being deep in the red, the opponent forced to dump a full Play Rough into Jumpluff. As Bulldoze would have been triple resisted, this in turn set up a very nice farm down for Morpeko, and the opponent clearly has no response as they send out Xehr. We YOLO the Aura Wheel. Aura Wheel gets no respect. This is why you don't run Psychic Fangs, and Xehr gonna rub some salt into the wound, making the swift catch onto Drapion. The opponent potentially risking getting farmed down. Last second pivot out into Malamar, and Malamar is going to be greeted with the crunch. Crunch forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. This is the easiest no shield of XehrFelrose's GBL career. The opponent go for the foul play. Foul play, simply not going to cut it. We're always saving that final shield for Morpeko. The opponent able to sideway farm us down. Morpeko re-enters the arena, able to outpace to the Aura Wheel. And we all know how this one's going to end. Aura Wheel picks up that one shot. Back out comes Xehr just to get Thundershock farm down. And we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we need Shadow Jumpluff into an opposing Morpeko. Let's see if we go for a catch onto Drapion. We're actually going straight for the Aerial Ace. I personally YOLO Acrobatics in this matchup, as Acrobatics, if it goes unshielded, is actually enough to knock them out. But it looks like Xehr having a different approach, wanting to get us some guaranteed chip damage. I guess the opponent is never shielding an Aerial Ace. Unfortunately for XehrFelrose, this opponent, unlike us, is running Psychic Fangs, meaning they're able to win the zero shield scenario. If they're also on Seed Bomb, we would outpace the Aerial Ace. Undeterred, Xehr sends out the Scorpion, looking to exchange one Protect Shield for a huge energy lead, and Drapion energy is usually pretty universally useful. The opponent thinking about what to send out Jumpluff. This energy is going to go places here. The opponent clearly has no great answer for Drapion. Hopefully have no answer for a Dark type. We land the first crunch. Xehr fires off the next crunch. The opponent stone cold no shield. We really needed to strip a shield, but the opponent clearly knows their IVs. Jumpluff is so bloody bulky. Xehr looks to call the bait. The opponent recognised down a Protect Shield. We wasn't shielding that move, and out comes Big Man Blastoise. This is so unfortunate for Xehr. The opponent's played this perfectly, despite us being a type advantage matchup. Down a Protect Shield, I don't think we can win this. Xehr looks to tank the first Hydro Cannon that just does far too much damage. Xehr going to get rollout farm down, and that is going to be a loss. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle. What a lead. Oh, hello Marowak. Nice to see you nice. And this is definitely where the team wants to see it, as we are double weak to ground in the back. The opponent saves switches into Dugong. We waste no time. Send out Morpeko. Looks like this opponent's actually going to try and flip this matchup. Dugong always shields the first move. And in this case, it's a wise shield if you're going to look to flip. As of course, once we fire off the first Aura Wheel, we go into this mad hangry mode, meaning this next charge move is actually a Dark type move and a not electric one. There is no shot. The opponent actually able to survive as well, which is super unfortunate. Xehr recognising he needs switch advantage. He doesn't want Drapion aligned against Marowak, if at all possible. Goes down both Protect Shields, fires off the Seed Bomb into Marowak, and that did a lot of damage. We send out Jumpluff. The opponent sends out Toxapex. We're going to YOLO the Acrobatics, and I imagine make the pivot into Drapion, and we do exactly that. Drapion very favoured into Toxapex. We've got heavy pace and advantage, and Brine is just such a garbage move. Xehr fires off the Crunch. Crunch goes unshielded, and it becomes apparent the opponent's seen their wink on, which is double Rock Slide in our Jumpluff. Xehr gonna overfarm, more than willing, tank this next Brine, and that is a clever play as we don't want to concede a farm down. The opponent sends out Marowak, tries to make the snipe. Xehr says no, sees it coming in, fires off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Jumpluff, we've already seen insanely bulky. Rock Slide has been nerfed into Oblivion, and one simply won't cut it. Xehr gonna overfarm, fire off the Aerial Ace from this range. Aerial Ace will remove a Marowak from the field of play. Toxapex is energy dry. They're going to be unable to poison jab farm down before the next Aerial Ace is reached, and we take that game. Another very, very well played game from Xehr. Don't forget to check him out. He's linked in the description, or perhaps in the title. Heading into the next battle, we see Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. I often throw one Fairy Wind and then transfer the Incinerate. Xehr actually instantly pivots into Drapion. I think that's a smart play, as you're able to spam the Aqua Tail as soon as you get it for good timing. Most Talonflame users will shield the Aqua Tail. This opponent actually more than willing to tank it. We invest to Protect Shield, and then they send out Superior. Huh? This opponent's clearly never heard of Drapion. Superior even shields the first Crunch, knowing we got Jumpluff, which is a bit of a questionable play, but we're certainly not complaining. As Talonflame has already tanked an Aqua Tail, all we need to do is leave with residual energy, and all we need to really do against Talonflame is hit him with the Aerial Ace to the face. Xehr overfarms, fires off the Acrobatics, looking to move Superior from the field of play. Down goes Superior. We actually send out Morpeko, tried to make the snipe. Our snipe attempt unsuccessful, but out comes Toxapex. Yeah, this team was so weak to a Drapion. We fire off the Aura Wheel. The opponent shields the first. Recognising it will do more, even though this one's boosted, it is not super effective. But let me tell you, we don't care about type-ins. Morpeko able to Thundershock farm down, leaving with the charge move. The opponent doesn't want that work. They concede the match, and we're moving on to the final battle. Jumpluff into Tinkaton. We've already seen that this thing is somewhat of a core breaker, but Jumpluff can more than hold its own. Last time we saw this one play out, we soft lost the one shield scenario, setting up a farm down for Morpeko, which worked out very nicely for us. Let's see if Xehr looks to play it out the same way. We've done the Acrobatics, more than willing to tank the player off. I know this is a player off before we've even seen the move come through. I think you're an absolute lunatic if you're going to throw a Bulldoze bait at Jumpluff. That is triple resisted. If that's your play style, find another game to play. It looks like Xehr this time, just going to soft lose the zero shield scenario and look to make something happen from here. Xehr sends out Drapion, fires off the Aqua Tail on the CMP tie. The opponent, to my surprise, shield. Wanted to get out of a Bulldoze. Bulldoze is shit, trainer. Enjoy yourself. Xehr agrees. More than willing to tank the charge move. We then send out Morpeko, looking for the snipe, and out comes Xehr. Uh-oh, trainer, you're in trouble. Xehr fires off the Aura Wheel, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. And this one's over. The opponent recognises it, concede the match, and we take that game. And that was actually the battle that took XehrFelrose to Legend rank in Season 22's Go Battle League. Firstly, huge congratulations, buddy. I was never in any doubt. And secondly, thank you very much for the battle submission. It's always a great pleasure to shoutcast your high gameplay IQ on my channel. So if you haven't checked XehrFelrose out yet, what are you doing with yourself? Go over to his channel, give the man a sub. He is so bloody worth it. If you are a trainer that's still looking to rank up in the final few days of the season, look no further than this team. After shoutcasting it, I love how this team works. I love an ABB team. I love how flexible and dynamic all three Pokemon are. So if you're good with energy management, I certainly think you'll have success with this team. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to my battle submission form is down below. And a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.